Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Echelon Cycling Podcast, where two cycling nerds and one professional cycling journalist talk about what's been happening in the week of cycling. The Giro's highest on the agenda, of course, Tadej Pogacar, Maglia Rosa. I apologize to anyone who was looking forward to a recap yesterday, but unfortunately, I was caught up in a bit of a storm with a triathlon that my friend was doing. But yeah, as always, joined by Patrick Blake of Outer Cycling and Ewan Wilson, as well. Professional cycling journalist at The Cyclist. And how have you guys been? And Ewan, we haven't seen you for a while.
Oh, geez. My partner's twin sister got married last weekend, so I was away for that.
And Eurovision.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one. Switzerland won. That's really it. I'm quite glad it's over now. Just, it was a very fatiguing Eurovision cycle for many reasons. But now, back in the saddle. I've got an exciting week ahead. I am quite sunburnt already, which means that we are in the summer, ladies and gentlemen. And we have, it's actual proper getting on your bike season.
Literally. And I've got a little bit sunburnt as well myself. So we're all in the same boat. Well, I don't know, maybe Scott is, but yeah, I can definitely... I can attest to the sunshine in the UK is here. It's good. But anyway, aside, forecasts and stuff aside, the Giro has been happening, and I know we were all just saying before we started recording this that this week has been a little bit not predictable. I'm not sure if predictable is the right word, but it hasn't been quite the hasn't given us the zing maybe of the first week. I think it's like people know what the Giro is now. It's like the sprints go to Milan, the mountains go to Poggi, and then the only intrigue is like a breakaway. And those all seem to just go to French people, because we've had Benjamin Thomas, Valentin Pelopenta, and Julien Alaphilippe. So actually, if you want to win from a breakaway, you need to be French.
I feel like I have amnesia. I can barely remember what's happened in the past week, and I've watched every stage. Even the fact that you said Valentin Pelopenta, I completely forgot that he won that stage. I had it on in the background at work, and I was like actually watching it. Just completely passed me by. It hasn't exactly been a thrilling week of racing. It feels like we just need to get through this week to get into the final week. And what was supposed to be a quiet week in GC ended up being quite loud. For Pogacar, at least, he now is 6 minutes ahead of everybody else in that game, so it really feels like game over at this point. The battle for second place is quite open. There's only 15 seconds between Geraint Thomas and Daniel Martinez in third, and a minute back is Ben O'Connor, who's looking stronger and stronger as each day goes. But it's really just sort of, it feels like a chore to watch the Giro. We're witnessing all this, sort of witnessing greatness and all that, but it's my favorite Grand Tour. Scott, I know you love the Giro as well. It feels like the race I love so dearly is now just sort of, it feels like such a dirge. There's no excitement there. It's all just predictable. Milan winning in the sprint with a lead out, that's insane. Poggi winning in the mountains with a quick attack, that's insane. And then just a couple of breakaways dashed in and out. We haven't really had even a sprint for the breakaway victory either. Like, Alaphilippe won by attacking Maestri. Pelopenta dropped Jan Tratnik pretty convincingly. It'd be quite cool if we had this kind of interdynamic in the breakaway where we had sort of like that stage won by Davide Baïs last year. That was interesting because we didn't really know who was going to win. Or even like the Nico Den stages last year, the Branham and Nolte one. We haven't seen sort of a sprint in the breakaway for the stage win, apart from that Benjamin Thomas stage. That was a week ago. So I'm just hoping that maybe the stages get a little bit more exciting, a little bit more sort of, down to the wire than they have been. Feels like this Giro so far, if you just looked at the results and pro cycling stats, you'd understand what's been happening.
Yeah, literally. It actually doesn't feel like there have been that many breakaway victories. Doesn't it feel like it's either just isn't it literally just the three which we mentioned? Pelopenta, Benjamin Thomas,
Sanchez. That was quite a close one. That was probably the most intriguing one.
Yeah, that is true. I completely forgot about that.
Ouch. Sorry, Movistar.
I know it's like Playa Sanchez. It's like he's kind of like the underdog stage winner of this race so far. Apart from that one, it feels like we haven't really had a decent breakaway battle.
And whenever there is a big breakaway, it's like, it's not just big, it's humongous. Like, it's 40 riders, and then there's just this intense just lack of collaboration, or everyone shirking turns, which is, fair. People are all wanting to win, but it's like, it's really like we've entered like a new era of just breakaway battles almost. It's not like even just last year, it was fairly cut and dry, like a breakaway goes and that's kind of it. Whereas this year, it seems really like, it just seems really hard for the breakaways to even make it. Like, it's, we used to talk about, 50 kilometers for a break to go. We're talking like 90 kilometers now for a breakaway to go. By the time people have got in there, they're just absolutely shelled. It really feels like, we've gone through that paradigm shift in cycling of like post-COVID to like the Poggy and whatever era. And it feels like now we're shifting like a breakaway era, even into like, you need to be like world class to win from just a breakaway. There's no like easy wins to be gained from a breakaway anymore. Or GC give time for that matter. Jan Hurt, who tried to dare move up 3 places in GC from like 10th to 7th, was just completely squashed by Bahrain, who were fearful of losing 5th. It's like, oh my word, everything's really fine margins in this Giro, and it feels like it's all really cagey at the moment.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. That GC snakes and ladders you often see at the Giro. I don't think we've had that quite as much this year. Plapp has tried a number of times unsuccessfully. Jan Heert's tried. You kind of think to yourself, what would have happened if he did gain that time? Because he looked fantastic on stage 15. But there isn't quite as many sort of riders jumping up the GC. We had that day where Zana gained a lot of time. He's making it stick a little bit inside the top 10, but outside of that, it's been sort of bleak for the guys looking for those snakes and ladders. You must think, like, if Guillaume Martin were here, he would not be happy with how these breakaways are going away.
Adams, man, he's been doing really well. 6th place right now. Remember that first week? He's in now the white jersey conversation as well. We totally wrote him off after the stage 2 or stage 1. And now he's actually 6th place and a viable contender for that white jersey, where we were hoping to see Altenbrooks versus Tiberi, but now it's Arendtman versus Tiberi.
And he looks really good for that as well. He's climbing really well. He was up there in the final selection today, better than Tiberi. And I don't think Arendtman's GC position will be compromised for Geraint Thomas. Like we saw last year, he was still able to compete for that upper echelon GC result. If I'm honest, I think he is the favourite to win the white jersey this year. That's that proven Grand Tour pedigree in his legs. And as we've seen in the past couple of years, he gets better with time. He gets really good into that final week. And he's quite a cunning rider. I reckon that white jersey is safe on his shoulders. I'm quite glad of that, because he was my prediction for the white jersey in my office predictions. And if that happens, I'm in a good position to win that battle.
I do kind of wonder how this last week's going to go, though. Do you think how Poggy's won 4 stages now? Obviously, he gave out, up to Livigno. That was a good altitude test. I was like, there's no way Poggy doesn't give us a shove. Like, it's going to be a good test. Sans Jonas here to kind of like very low risk test yourself at altitude. But this final week, Martinez and O'Connor are petrified of each other, and there's just like no time gaps. 220k altitude finish. The difference between Martinez and O'Connor was like 8 seconds. It's like nothing. And I just feel like it's going to be a super cagey fight. We're just going to end up with breakaways, I guess, in the final week, unless UAE decide, hey, Poggy wants to win a 5th stage and win almost a quarter of the stages in this race, so let's bring it back. And it feels like I don't feel like Ineos or Bora or even like maybe Decathlon would want to do that. Like, Decathlon could go win another stage with Valentin Palepentula very easily, in my opinion, but I feel like they want a podium. So I feel like if anybody's going to make moves in the final week, it's going to be Decathlon, because I don't think the Bora have the strength to put the pressure on Ineos, and I don't think Ineos will do anything that they don't need to do, because they're in second, so why would they force the issue?
Ineos have also learned this the hard way in the past 2 GD of sort of investing a lot into the race and not getting that much reward out of it. I know 2 second places, they're probably going to get another second place here, but They probably need to be a little bit more strategic. It's a close battle for this one. I do agree. I think Decathlon are the team that want this the most. Bora have won the Giro before. Decathlon, for them to get on the podium of this race, that'll be their first Giro podium since insert rider a long time ago. I can't even think off the top of my head. It would be a long time. They've had Balde do well in the Tour, but they don't, outside of the Tour de France, they haven't quite been up there in the GC fight. So for them, this would be huge. Alex Baudin is looking fantastic. Valentin Barré-Peintre is looking good. And then you throw in Michael Storer. You throw in Ben O'Connor on top of that. And I think it's looking quite good. But the final week, I don't know how I feel about it, because the climbs that we finished on aren't that dramatic. We don't have a sort of like Livigno stage that we had today in that final week. The Monte Grappa stage in stage 20, that could be really pivotal. That's probably where second and third will be decided. But it's a downhill finish as well, so it could all still come together. But the other ones we have, the Montepana that we have, the Passo Brocon, they're not really super steep or serious climbs. I feel like a good, decent GC group's going to come together. It feels like the Giro in 2022 when we had the group together all the time, and it was the final stage that decided everything. I think this final stage into Bassano del Grappa will decide who finishes in second and third. That's where Ben O'Connor, I think, will really come into his own. He likes those longer climbs. I think that suits him really well. And if Decathlon really wants something out of this race, they have to go hard on that stage 20.
Go on then. Bonus question. Who is the last podium finisher for AG2R? I've just looked it up.
What, in the Giro?
Yeah. He's not a fan with a certain Irish rider, if that's a clue.
Irish rider?
Maybe that's very nice.
Stephen Roach?
Well, it's his son that he's not friends with, so yeah, very close.
Who's Nico Roach not friends with?
Well, for one Tour de France. Okay, John Gadre in 2011 finished third for AG2R.
Wait, he finished third?
Yeah, because of the disqualification. Yeah, exactly.
So this would be the first time an Ash rider finish properly on the podium.
Well, because steps onto the podium.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Because Gadre never did that, because at the time, Constor was team the champion. I forgot Gadre existed. Thank you for that throwback.
I've been having loads of throwbacks this week. Do you remember when Amador was in the pink jersey?
Oh, yes.
God, I've done it fourth.
Yeah, he was banging. Well, no. Oh, yeah. He finished fourth in 2015 rather, and in 2016 wore the pink jersey for a couple days. And it was like on that Queen stage when that Esteban, it was like a pretty serious stage. He wore the pink jersey for in Chausty as well. Bennett in Chausty, remember him? He was fantastic. What's happened to him? Bennett, if you're watching, let us know. We'll have you on as our fourth member. But he wore the pink jersey as well. Damn, remember Movistar doing well at Grand Tours?
I know, right?
Or Astana.
Please, Lutsenko is not in this Giro anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in that podium fight.
The Lorenzo Fortunato.
So he's
carrying their World Tour hopes right now.
So true.
But anyways, with Tadej Pogacar, mentioned him before. Do you think he's burning all his matches here in the Giro? Because there's been a lot of talk that he should just been. Well, we were talking about this as well before the Giro, that he should get in this good position and then just ride defensively, but he's absolutely not doing that.
I reckon he could do it from now on. Like, maybe it's just, goes, like you say, he's got 6 minutes, whatever. And then I reckon in this final week, they just punch the breakaway tickets all the time. They're just like, in the sprint stages, they're like, it's not on us. That's up to Lidl Trek to do that, and the other sprint teams. And then all other mountain stages, they're just like, we don't care. We don't care, because 10th place is a million minutes back, and our closest rival is 6 minutes, whatever. And it's just going to be so easy for them to mark out specific riders. And let's face it, even if Filippo Zana gets him a breakaway and gains 8 minutes, it won't matter, because Filippo Zana's attack will get neutralized more than likely by Ineos, who are so desperate to hold on to their second place. So UAE don't really need to do anything. So I think you're going to see breakaway victories. And I think this could be the week where Tadej doesn't have to maybe put in as much. So maybe this was a big test today up to Livigno, and then maybe he can just kind of take it a bit easier from now on, possibly. That's my take.
Yeah, I think it's actually a really good position for UAE, because they don't have to do much in this final week. And now people are going to get defensive and aggressive about their top 10 positions, UAE don't need that because they have such a big cushion. Like, it is a really nice position to be in. And we saw today as well, Micah was still up there. You know, Micah's climbing well. And if he's up there in that final selection, he can still kind of control the group and do whatever and bring people back if he needs to. It's pretty ideal for UAE. And for Pogacar, he's just got to, you know, keep it cool. He might attack, he might be aggressive. It's Pogacar after all, but he doesn't need to do that. It's not like he needs more time, he needs more stages. He has 4 stage wins, probably a mountains jersey on his back, and the overall victory. Getting that out of a Grand Tour is fantastic. Let Ineos try to control things. Let Bora try to finally get in the mix and show their team towards the front of affairs, and the Cat Age d'Azur, because they will be very, very happy with that. We've already seen Bahrain as well be uber defensive at the front of the peloton. I'm sure they'll be thrown back into that position next week when they start believing that Antonio Tiberi could be a contender for the podium if, you know, or even just defending that white jersey, you know? They'll want to get in that final podium. They need the World Tour points as well. Bahrain have been struggling this year, let's not forget. So for UAE, you know, it's perfect. Let's start getting that Tour de France selection in place. They're all on a little training camp at the moment. And Poggy, you know what? Poggy could probably fly out from after the stage, do a training ride with Ayuso, Almeida, and the other guys at that training camp, and then come back and compete in the next stage and probably still be in pink at the end of it with a 6-minute advantage, you know? It's a walk in the park from now on, barring crashes or anything, but we know Poggy, he's quite safe in that respect.
It's the only thing that's like what Ineos are holding on for. Ineos, I just see, and it winds me up kind of a little bit in their press. They're like, "Oh, we're fighting for the victory." It's like, no, you're not. You are playing the most defensive game I've ever seen. You are literally like in park the bus mode in football. Like, you literally just got everyone over the goal line right now. That is how defensive you are playing this. Not as much as Bahrain though. I mean, I've never seen somebody fight so hard for fifth. It's like, dude, chill out a little bit. Like, I can take you caring about the white jersey. I get that. But for the love of God, you do not need to care about Jan Hurt. You really don't. It's not that deep, bro. It's really not. I think this final week doesn't have any altitude though, really. So I think you might see some more action. Like, I reckon the Lavinia stage today was cagey because people were scared of altitude and blowing up big time. Whereas because you're going to have low altitude, I'll say, and very, for Lewis's terms, maybe people might be a bit more daring because they're like, oh, there's not the 2,000 meter mark and maybe I won't blow up big time. So maybe you'll see more of an interesting GC fight. I sure hope so, because I'm fed up of seeing a 15-man Group 2 with Poggy riding off into the distance. It is like bashing my head against the wall.
Romain Bardet, I think he's someone who's going to light things up. I believe he tried to today to Lavinia, and I think he's I don't think he's learned his lesson over the years, but I do think he is sort of he's open to attacking and open to spicing things up. So I'm hoping we're going to see something from Bardet, but outside of that, in that top 15, maybe Piganzoli, but Polti will get defensive about that top 15. We saw that with Fortunato, is that once he was slotted in top 15 in 2021, they did not really risk that. They want that top 15. Stora maybe? Stora's been quite animated, but I don't think anybody's really scared of Stora. He's still, quite a bit off reaching top 10. So it will be fascinating to see what happens. But I do feel like it is going to be a complete stalemate and a probable snooze fest until you reach this race's conclusion, to be honest.
Somebody start the Dauphiné.
Well, 4 Days of Dunkirk was happening as well, and that was a bit spicy.
I mean, one day was spicy. The rest was...
Still spicy.
The rest was... to be fair, I'm really glad to see him back. And him, I mean Sam Bennett. We know he struggled over the past couple of years, and he's found it hard to take big wins. Does this count as a big win? It's a win. Beggars can't be choosers. And he switched teams, and it felt very under the radar that he switched the team. He didn't really make that much of an impact so far this year and he managed to claim 4 stage wins in the overall victory at Cajol de Dunkirk, including that stage to Cassel, which is a really tough stage. It's got a cobble climb at the end. And so he's looking in really good shape, to be fair, Sam Bennett. One of the stages he didn't win, which I think you're insinuating, was the one by One was the stage won by Wara von... Wara von Kloa. Please correct that pronunciation in the comment section below. It looks like a really difficult surname to pronounce. I'm hoping he's not here to stick around for that sole selfish reason. But he's 22 years of age, really talented. He attacked and held out. Bennett had a lot of speed, and there was a photo finish where they were separated by maybe 1 pixel on the screen. Both of them celebrated. It was quite awkward. Usually you have either none of them celebrating or the wrong person celebrating. No, both of them celebrated. And Wada, I wouldn't say his surname again, he celebrated very early, so that made things quite laughable. But in the end, the Belgian took the stage win, but overall, Bennett was looking really quite good. Is he in Tour de France stage-winning form, guys? My guess is no.
I don't know, because to be fair, to give him a Bennett, to give him, the benefit of the doubt.
Bennett before the doubt.
But to give him benefit of the doubt. I am. But think about when Cav did good in 2021. Didn't he win Tour of Turkey stages or something like that, or Poel's Belgium Tour or some?
It was the build up. Belgium Tour was when we thought, okay, maybe, and that was in really good company. That was against Caleb Ewan and Dylan Hoonabin. Here it's not quite the same level.
It's not Milan Fletar.
Well, what else is their goal? What else is their goal in the Tour?
Well, yeah, I would send
Felix Gau.
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting about him, I'd send Bennett. Why not? I mean, seemingly there's only about 3 sprinters in the Tour because every single one of them is currently busy getting arses handed to them by Jonathan Milan in the Giro. Good job, everyone, rolling up there. That's gone really well for you.
Philipsen in the Tour. Bang.
Yeah. Bang. Yeah, so it's back to the Vuelta for all of you.
Or the Tour of Austria.
I'd send him. Why not? Gal, let's face it, I mean, other teams are going to control the stages. Gal can just, ride the coattails and then try and, just roll in for a top 5, just do a better GC performance than he did last year. Bob's your uncle. And, why not send Bennett to the Tour? I mean, he'll probably get some top 10s. It's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I would send him. Big fan of Bennett. Green jersey winner, as we all know, and just a bit of confidence after a few turbulent years, and then maybe he could do something.
Yeah, I think he is a guy who built in confidence. I mean, every sprinter does, but it's good to have those wins in the bag, and for him as well, because it's been so long since he last kind of won. It'll be nice to know that he's still back up at that level. And the Decathlon are a team where the motivation is really high at the moment. They're doing so well this year so far, and with sort of a Dorian Godon in the lead out of Vendaname, that could be really, really nice for him to just sort of have a comfortable lead out, probably to get a couple of top 10s, a podium finish in the Tour de France is within his reach. On a stage, not the overall. Should point that one out. But, I think that's within his reach, and that'll be the ultimate sort of top target for the Tour de France. But it is going to be hard for him to beat Jasper Phillips, though. We saw that last year. The guys from, even Caleb Ewan was struggling. I feel like Bennett's going to struggle as well.
Yeah. Especially since, wasn't it announced this week that Van der Poel is going to the Tour?
Yes, he's going to the Tour, not the Olympic mountain biking. He's doing the Olympic road race.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, shock. Who saw that coming?
Oh, no, right. That Olympic road race is going to be absolutely mad, because isn't it just 4-man teams? I have no idea how that's going to pan out. It's going to be a completely different bike race to anything any of us cycling fans have seen. It's no amount of predicting is going to help. It's just going to be complete. Some team might just light it up from a start with 4 men just in the front, just, because why not?
Bear in mind, they have no race radios.
Yeah.
As the women's race taught us in 2021, when they were fighting, they thought they were fighting for the win, but they're actually fighting for second because there was someone from the break still up the road. And no radios will make things very interesting and very chaotic as well. It's like a classic style course this year with cobble climbs.
Yeah, it probably will be the best race then.
Can you imagine? There's just a bit of fog or something. I don't know how there'd be fog in the middle of the summer, but just go along with me for a second. Somebody sneaks off in the fog, somebody very inconspicuous, I don't know, Mattia Catania or something like that, and the Mattia Catania rolls across the line and is the Olympic champion or something. Can you imagine? Golden Catania.
Anyway, we're going to switch the focus now to transfers. We haven't talked about them for a while. And a story that's quite fresh is, well, it doesn't seem like a huge leap, but Bora Hansgrohe had open talks to sign Red Bull sponsored Tom Pidcock, according to reports. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this when we were talking about the Red Bull stuff. Well, I mean, all has been rumoured. Yeah, obviously we know in cycling anyone could be rumoured to anyone. It doesn't really mean that it's going to happen. But yeah, what do you make of Pidcock going to Bora? And I mean, Pidcock is such a strange rider. He doesn't really fit into any box.
Bear in mind to begin with that Pidcock is under contract, and it was quoted as saying it would be very tricky to get him to move over to Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe are in sort of a bit of a predicament here of you can't buy everyone and make it a team with harmony, you know? And I feel like Pidcock doesn't really fit into any role. I think he's better in this wildcard role, to be quite honest. So I think at Ineos, he has that a little bit. I think Ineos have a little bit too much faith in him. I don't think Pidcock is quite as good as Ineos seem to believe he is. But is that harsh?
I don't know, like Olympic champion mountain bike, cyclocross, but on the road.
But we're working on the road here.
Yeah, okay. Altuve, that was a breakaway.
I think that he is like a really... He is an old one.
Giro under 23, remember that? He won that. There was the immense hype before he joined.
He's an adult now. You should be hyped up. Can I remind you, Ruben Fernandez won the Tour de l'Avenir. Where is Ruben Fernandez now?
This is all true. Didn't like Henry van den Abela do really well at the under 23 Giro? I haven't seen head or tail of him recently. Like, you know how some riders you can kind of bunch together as similar rider types, right? Pidcock, you really can't. He is like just this kind of thing in and of himself, where he is just such a rogue character, where he's like an EF star rider, just completely just out of there. Just no, he can climb, he can descend, he's got a fastest finish in a sprint. Ineos seems to try to forge him into this GC guy. Would he work better at Red Bull? I think he would do, because I think he would probably be their kind of one-day racer person, because they don't really have that many. I know they have Roglic, and Schachmann's kind of on his way back, but think about their kind of like a Liège-Bastogne-Liège, or La Flèche Wallonne, and Amstel Gold. They could do with somebody like Pidcock to really lead that sort of charge, especially with them not wanting to really send Roglic to one-day races because they're afraid that he's going to crash, which is a pretty logical reason. Pidcock could fulfill that role. And if he's already a Red Bull sponsored athlete or whatever, maybe Red Bull just want to collate all of their people, like the Avengers, into one team, and it's just like they've got all these Red Bull helmets, and they're like, oh, I imagine the PL. And they can get a drone behind Pidcock and do a cool PR video on a descent. It's all about PR.
Well, okay, we did undersell him a bit. Strade Bianchi as well, winning Amstel Gold, podium in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He's a fantastic rider, even though Ewan's not a fan. Well, would he like this move as well? That's probably a better question. Would this be good for his progression?
I don't know where he's going to go in the future. In terms of like his career, to be honest, I think he's very hard to predict. There is the likelihood that Tom Pidcock doesn't quite live up to his potential. I think there's a very, very strong possibility that happens. He's got fingers in, I mean, I see that on the road sense. He's got fingers in many pies in terms of he does cyclocross, he does mountain biking, he does all this kind of stuff. But I don't think he's quite the next sort of coming of British cycling Jesus Christ that some people seem to believe he is. I am a bit of a Pidcock skeptic, to be quite honest.
I can see where you're coming from. Right.
Patrick.
That's coming.
You'll be closed out of Yorkshire if you go too deep there.
I know. I'm scared.
They'll lock the door behind you, and you'll have to live in Lincolnshire for the rest of your life.
Oh my god! Imagine they don't have any hills over there. Anyway, but that's beside the point. The point is, I mean, it depends what you deem as like his potential. If you deem his potential to be a GC rider, I think he's gonna end up just, climbing up a never-ending staircase, and it's just never going to end. And he's not actually going to ever, yes, could he finish in the top 10 of the Tour this year? Yeah, he could do. But what was his ceiling? Is he going to finish on the podium of the Tour? I don't think so. But, could he creep towards the top 5 if he fully dedicated himself to it? Possibly. But it's like Ineos also have like Carlos Rodriguez in there and their series of embryos that they've got currently just growing up in their cryo chambers, trying to forge some kind of Michael Leonard, Andrew August kind of hybrid thing, which is just going to obliterate every single person in existence. I'm not even counting that out, by the way. I just think with Pidcock, I mean, he's contracted to Ineos until 2027. That's one problem. Is that does not work for contracts in cycling, where he's got to get bought out of that, and that's going to be a whole mess. And like Ewan said, he is kind of like maybe it's a wrongly placed title, he is the kind of poster boy of British cycling at the moment in terms of who is the most kind of prolific rider in that sort of sense. And I don't think Ineos, even though they don't really have this British identity anymore as much as they used to, I think they'll still be keen to hold on to Pidcock because he provides that maverick can go and do something magical and gives them hey, we've got a one-day racer still who does really cool things at the Olympics as well, and cyclocross, and he just gives them a lot of PR to yabber on about. So I think Ineos would be reluctant to let him go.
So anyways, there's also another British rider in Ineos Grenadiers that is looking like he might also be out of the door, Ethan Hayter.
It's about time.
Yeah, this one's actually quite interesting.
I didn't think that. Wow. I like him a lot. I think he's really good.
Well, I like him too, but then he is underperforming. So
this is true. Ethan Hayter is the most hot and cold rider. There are lots of them, but I think Ethan Hayter is the one. He's so accident prone as well. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing him going into the team. I think Ineos need to stop pretending he is a sort of stage race leader. I know he's won a couple of stage races. I love the Tour of Poland, but it's not like, it's not a Grand Tour. Throw him in as a luxury domestique. Oh my stars. He could be so good. I'd love to see him at UAE. I know that's not where he's rumoured to, but I'd like to see him be a luxury domestique for Poggi. I think he'd be so good at it. But it's Bora he's linked to, isn't it?
Of course it is. You have Bora buying this shit.
Yeah, they're linked to everyone.
Wasn't there a Josh Tarling to Bora link as well?
Oh, right, really? I wouldn't be surprised.
To Bora, actually, as it turns out.
I'm proud to announce that I too have wings, and I am moving to Redbull Bora Hansgrohe. Who even knows if they're keeping Bora and Hansgrohe on board next year? It might be part of the contract that they need to stay on board for the rest of this year, but who knows what's happening in 2025? There might just be Red Bull cycling by then. Yeah, who else can they buy out of contracts? The men's market this year is looking a little bit thin on the ground, and now that Jasper Phillips is off the table, that's the big star they could have signed. Since Phillips looks like he's more likely to stay at Alpecin de Koning. Yeah, I mean, anyone and everyone seems to be linked to Bora Hansgrohe. So I do apologise to all of those little sort of kids and people at Bora Hansgrohe that are going to be on the chopping block soon to make way for the sort of pelotons. Sort of in FIFA, there will be gold cards, but not shiny gold cards. They're like they're solid riders, not world leading, but they're there and they're available in the market this year.
Still a 77 rated people.
I was going to go for like a 77. Maybe Ethan Hayter's probably like maybe 80 rated on FIFA, I'd say.
I think Ethan Hayter to Visma Bike will work because they love that kind of jack of all trades rider, a bit like Jorgensen and Tratnik. Especially since Tratnik's rumored to be going to Bora to help with Roglic. I think Hayter sort of fulfills that pretty good climber, time trialing unit that they seem to really love to fit into every single one of their teams. So I think Hayter will probably go to Visma Bike. It needs to be somebody with money because he's not a nobody. Like, he will demand a certain amount of contract money or whatever.
Also, he has a track program that probably he needs to go to the team that will facilitate that. So that probably should be part of the equation as well. Sometimes that's like a deal breaker for teams. I mean, Bora have mountain bikers already. Visma. Do Visma have track guys?
But UAE do. They've got the Oliveira. They've definitely got Oliveira, don't they?
Yeah.
Like you say, maybe UAE's the good fit.
I mean, I just think he would be a good sort of Swiss Army knife. Yeah, as I say, jack of all trades, kind of could be there. Really, really good domestique for Poggi, a bit like a Jan Tratnik style. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see where he ends up.
Astana. He's going to Astana to say
really
get World Tour points.
For winning, he probably is actually quite good at getting World Tour points because he seems to be able to win sprints at Tour de Romandie and sometimes top 3 time trials at the Renewy Tour, you know? But, I mean, where else for this? They have track riders. It depends as well what his goals are and what he believes that he could possibly do. It'd be intriguing because he's been at Ineos pretty much since the start of his career.
Anyways, we might as well switch our focus to the Vuelta a Burgos, the female version. That got a bit of headlines this week with some bad crashes. Did you guys watch it?
I did watch parts of it. Yeah, I remember the crash. It was, on that first stage, wasn't it? That was pretty bad. I can't remember. I think it was Balsamo who went into the barrier, but I'm trying to remember the UAE's rider who went into the, I can't remember her name, apologies, but it was like, I don't know, her like wheel just like wobbled or just like buckled or they hit a hole or whatever, and then Balsamo was next to her and just both like launched into it. It was pretty bad to see. She obviously didn't continue the race, and then we had just a very kind of the series. I mean, about that one stage was done by Lotte Hentale, who we haven't seen actually sprint for quite a while, so that was a bit of a surprise actually. And then it was just a bit of a SD Works Pro Time showcase once more, where guess what? In the sprint, Vibers won, and guess what? On the mountain stages, Demi Vollering won, and guess who won overall? Demi Vollering. Thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk.
It was pretty predictable. Apart from that first stage, that wasn't predictable. But I mean, Vollering is on a good streak right now. Got to keep that streak going before the Giro, and she might be able to do the Triple Crown this year. I think it's very much within her reach.
Who's going to stop her? Right.
Exactly. Edvita Music, her future teammate, she was really good this week as well. She finished in second place.
Yeah, it's going to really take some monumental mess up for her to not win, because like I'm thinking about also ahead to like the Tour de France Family Mix with like someone like Guy Riolini who might challenge her on some high mountains.
Yeah.
We'll lose so much time over TTs.
Yeah, and Anthony Verdoma is out at the moment with injury and illness. Like, I'm starting to think she's looking quite good, but then it's Anthony Verdoma. She doesn't really win. She's not a winner as such, which is a shame. I know she just won Flash Wallon, but she's not like, a serial winner. And I think you need to be a serial winner to beat Debbie Vollering.
Like Kopecky, maybe?
I don't think they would do that within the team.
I'm already seeing out the ways in the future, and I'm just like, there's no way.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, it looks pretty inevitable. Vollering's going to do a Triple Crown, actually.
It's not the Triple Crown.
What is it? My bad. Sorry. Grand Tour Grand Slam.
There we go.
The Triple Crown is Tour Giro and Worlds. The Worlds is quite... I don't think the Worlds suits Vollering that much, but, definitely the Grand Tours she'll get.
Anyways, with that, we might as well come to our favourite part of the show, Rider of the Week. And, it's been an eventful week, so there's plenty to choose from. I'll go first this time, because I never do. I'm going to choose Alexander Kristoff, because he won his second race in a row in Antwerp. He won Brugge, one of the Brugge one-day races 2 weeks ago, and then he won one here. So having acquired up this season. So
that race is actually really tough. So it's a good win for him. Back to winning ways. For me, we're in a position now where
Tadej Pogacar.
Maybe none of us picked it. Maybe none of us picked someone from the Giro. I want to shout out Stanislav Aniokovsky.
Is this the Rider of the Week?
My Rider of the Week.
You're creating a new segment within a segment.
It's Sam Bennett. Back to winning ways. I'm glad to see it. And I think for a sprinter like him, he needs this sort of morale boost, and having 4 wins in 1 week. There's no other rider with 4 wins this week. I checked my notes. There might be someone in like another stage race in like the Tour of Greece or something. But I don't. Yeah, that was right with 4 wins this week. So let's go, Sam Bennett.
Ricardo Seudel, the former World Tour rider, winning that.
He used to be on my Pro Cycling Manager career mode team, and Hermann Panstein is there as well. Another former World Tour. Actually, they're all former World Tour in that top 3 in the Tour of Greece. Seudel, Panstein, and Conti were all World Tour not long ago. What an interesting podium finish for them. It's quite cool that Greece actually has a big proper stage race nowadays. Anyways,
Patrick.
Just been trying to. You've really left me up just some really boring picks here now. Oh my word!
Tadej Pogacar, the best rider in the World Tour for the last 3 years.
No, predictability comes into the rider.
Yeah,
it's like
Demi, Vollering, Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah, exactly. I can't pick Vollering. Milano's are kind of predictable to an extent. Yeah, it is. I might go with somebody else who was kind of coming back from injury, who was also in the 4, but actually 6 Days of Dunkirk. And I think that was Paul Penoe. So coming back from injury, he got a series of top 3 finishes. I think he was second in GC overall. And yeah, I think as somebody who had a bad crash earlier this year, he's coming back from injury. So I'll give it to Paul Penoe as a good comeback. Just a series of good comebacks, basically, in the 4, but actually 6 Days of Dunkirk. Have you guys seen the Tour de France Unchained teaser trailer?
Yes, that came out this week.
What did you think?
They emphasize scandal a lot in it, and that is
worrying.
It's like, really? It seems
scandal last year.
Does it not feel like basically they've kind of maybe gone, because is this season 2?
Yeah,
that we're on now. It feels like, I don't know how season 1 did, because obviously I don't have their data, and I haven't gone looking for it. But
please give us
it. It feels like they're kind of like playing to like the cycling's a drugged up sport sort of thing, scandal. Like we don't even know. Like on the screen, it's Pino who's being asked, "Do you think there's like or do you think he's doping?" They don't insinuate who he is specifically, and we also don't know, because obviously the way that they can just through the power of editing, we don't actually know if Pino was being asked the question or whether it was just somebody else who was being asked a question, and it was just that audio was put over him. I mean, they've done this, whatever company it is, but they've done it with all their sorts of style of documentary behind the scenes stuff where audio is put over bits of video which isn't actually correlated to the bit of video that's going on. I remember a lot with the Drive to Survive stuff. And so, yeah, I really don't know what to make of it. I'm not a big fan of the scandal thing, because it's just going to kind of bring all... They're obviously talking probably about Jonas or Poggy, who are 2 very big names in our sport. And therefore, if they're bringing in scandal and that questioning, it's just going to make new people say, cycling's a drugged up sport, and it's those 2 big names who are like the prime culprits, and it's just kind of sheds a bit of a negative light over it. But I will still probably be watching it. I am still looking forward to hearing the behind the scenes stuff, especially since I think that UAE Team Emirates are in it this year, so hopefully we might see a bit more about that Pogacar element to the tour and how things went wrong.
I'm looking forward to seeing Pogacar be more we get more of a personality background to him, because he is a really captivating personality. Similarly, Vingegaard as well, I imagine, is going to be in this. He wasn't in the first one because Jumbo didn't put him through as one of the featured people because they were going for Roglic and Wout, which was kind of laughable given what happened. So it felt like in the first season we didn't really humanize the top 2 because neither of them were on the show. So you had Geraint Thomas.
Welcome to Do You Want to Be the Tour de France champion?
No, well, I mean, in the show, it wasn't like they weren't featured. They weren't talking. They weren't one of the talking heads. We had Geraint Thomas and the other people doing that bit. So I think it'd be cool to have Jonas and Poggy actually there to sort of humanize it a little bit. And we don't really know that much about Jonas Vingegaard. It'd be really intriguing to see some stuff behind the scenes, because he is very sort of reserved and he likes his private life, and that's completely respectable, And we might get a little bit more of an insight into that, just so we know the person behind the champion. I think that's really important as well going forward. He is going to be around for a long time, and it doesn't help if people think you're boring, So adding that bit of personality would probably help his image, would probably help him going into the Tour de France and people not sort of frowning upon him and pouring urine all over him like they did to Christopher a couple of years back, Right, I feel like it would sort of humanize our Galacticos almost, and hopefully, if it's still around for next year, we have someone with Remco, we have someone with Roglic, we have someone with Poggy and Jonas. That could be quite a cool 4-up battle way. You see how they come along, but I guess we have to take it year by year, see how the series goes. I'm gutted that this year we do not have a season of El Dia Menos Pensado, the Movistar series that was axed. So hopefully this cycling documentary stays for a couple more seasons to come.
And also we're going to get to see, because I don't think Van der Poel was in the first season, was he? Either.
He was he not? I think he was, but he pulled out of that Tour de France. He didn't have a very, very good Tour de France.
Yeah.
So he was only in it very briefly because that episode focused on Jasper Philipsen rather than Mathieu van der Poel.
But they could definitely, because obviously Philipsen did exceptionally well last year, and they'll have to focus, of course, on Van der Poel as well, and hopefully be like, hey, all you people who don't really know cycling, this guy's important because he wins a hell of a lot, and he's, all these fantastic things, and he's got the family heritage and blah, 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 and they can, shed a bit of the historical importance upon cycling and the family lineage and all that. But I agree. I think it'll be cool looking into this year and seeing Remco being brought in. It's all these new characters who seem to get added in as other people to support in the sport.
And that feels really important in sort of building, like Drive to Survive only got better with time, And it feels like it'll be good with building a narrative almost separate to the bike race itself, as bad as it sounds, having it to the TV show narrative that continues having these characters you follow year on year. I think that's really important to sort of help viewers stick around. And hopefully they'll transfer themselves into watching cycling for the rest of the year, because that's what we need for the sport, to make it more than just the Tour de France.
Or of Denmark. That's the race to see this year. Anyways, we finished on a segment that we don't normally finish on. So, that is basically it for our 69th episode. Stop laughing. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you can follow us on Twitter, the various people down below. So make sure to check that out. But with that, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you all next week for episode 70.